What it do, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder back again with another edition of History You May Not Know and Things That Are Not Taught in Detail for Show. Today's lesson will be a little different, y'all. I want to take a spin on something that I learned recently that I think is incredibly eye-opening, and I think none of us have a history of knowing what happened. Remember when we was growing up in school, we always heard about these great dynasties and how they linked disputes and how they kept their bloodlines pure. There's a particular European royal family of Spaniard descent that had wiped themselves out because of inbreeding. What do I mean by that? If you look at back around the 17th dynasty, right? Let's go ahead and get the time frame correctly, where you had a dynasty known as the reign of the Charles dynasty. They were known as in Hamburg, Spain, was the seething father. The reason why this is so unique is that they were so insular in how they carried their families and their structure that literally they self-wiped themselves out by them forcing them to marry each other. What do I mean by that? They were inbreeding by marrying with their close relatives, brothers, sisters, almost enabling each other to only marry their siblings one time or another. The ancestral rate was so high, two close family members, that all of their children literally passed away. The reason why I think this story is so interesting, there has been no movie or historical reference to this a lot about why this self-sabotage became such a big deal, and literally the Philips of Spain murdered each other themselves off by this insular mindset. So Charles II was one that we must focus on. By the time he aged at 3, generation in the Spanish Empire, they remained largely intact. The reason why they remained largely intact, there was a strict system for who you would marry, date, and who you were allowed to have children with. As we know, marriages are a political union. It's made to unify bloodline. It's made to ensure that economics and political unions move forward. So this family took this to the 8th degree. They wanted their family bloodline to be so tight in the Kingdom of Spain that they enforced who they were going to marry with by the time of a young age. We're talking young men and women. They were marrying half-sisters, successors, and everyone in their families. Their regime was strong. They had a strong castle, strong battles, strong economy, but what they did not predict was what would happen to their iniquities because of their legacy. So, for the rules of their foreign places and their head over each other, they were so terrified to drop off their bloodline that they literally had to champion who they were going to love. So their ancestry was, hey, you can only marry from this family. You can only have children in this bloodline. You can only have children with this relative. At first, human history was not as known about what would happen from inbreeding. So they were one of the strongest common communities that they ever had. And they self-wiped themselves out because they were so corrupt with the fantasy of keeping the bloodlines pure. So, in totality, this family wiped themselves out because they did not want to give their genes to anyone else. They did not want to intermarry. They did not want to self-segregate, and they wanted to, quote-unquote, keep their bloodlines purified. Think about how crazy this is for a second. They could have kept their legacy going. They could have kept their family name entitled and probably stayed a strong ruler in the Spain dynasty until this day. However, the inability to research, the inability to think, and the inability to move past them allowed Charles II of Spain to be the last of the Charles of Spain dynasty, because they married, because they inbred, and because they refused to make changes. They wiped each other out in their very own personal annihilation. Gives me goosebumps to talk about it and think about it, but this really happened. The dynasty started around 1487 and ended around 1700 for a short dynasty rule and ancestral line. Look it up if you don't believe me. It's a very incredible story. It's very interesting, but it shows how much your insular ideology, your insular way of thinking can corrupt and end what you and your families have going on if you do not make changes. All right. It's your boy King Crowder back with an interesting video. I learned it this week, y'all. Thought it was very interesting. A good read as a self-proclaimed historian that I am. It let me know that Spanish empires and empires all across this world have had issues. But did you know about the inbreeding problem that the Spanish Empire had that caused their bloodlines to deceive? If you didn't, now you know. Until next time, it's your boy checking out. Peace.